So this ex-mayor, not crackhead, none of that, but he was into crack usage, crack cocaine to be specific. Like, subscribe, ID in the Discovery Channel. Yes, ID in the Discovery Channel. The links are provided below. Get that Discovery Go app as well as that ID Go app. You might want to get those two things, combine them, make them into one. So, Florida, the most interesting land on the planet. Does that rhyme? I think it does. So, a former mayor of Florida and his nightly drug use of meth, crystal meth as well as crack. That's strange and odd, and yet it's not, as in the two go together, such as politicians and people in power using drugs, and yet you don't know about that sort of thing. I was going to ask a question, what would make individuals like that do that sort of thing? But the questions, so drug use, you always want to question these sort of people. You in fact want to question everybody. That's behavioral science. The way people process, think information, you would in fact want to ask a neurosurgeon about that as well. But yes, drug use in politicians. What could the numbers be of drug use as well as drug abuse amongst those in power? I want you to sit and think about that before I go into the details of the story. Who would have access to provide drugs to those in power, or would those in power find drug services on the streets themselves? Power and playing with drugs. If a mayor is and was in power, what will be the need for drug use in his life? Could internal emptiness be the part of why a mayor wants to use drugs despite the position he holds, either at the time or after? Think about that with that. So, ex-mayor Dale Masad spent years smoking crack cocaine on a night-to-night basis, along with his habit of meth use, which can be found in court records. Yes, with his name on it, to be exact. Even in his eyes, you just seen the photo up above my head. Even in his eyes look somewhat shot, as in full wide open, completely, right? The access to drugs. Mr. Masad. Why do I keep fumbling over words? I'm sorry. This shows, in fact, a imperfect human. The tongue-tied. That's what is in fact happening. Mr. Masad paid various drug runners to bring him illegal drugs. And in him doing so, he too acted as a doctor. He acted as a doctor to his buddies. Along with him playing as doctor, he was stitched up and repaired. Not only are you using drugs, you're also playing as a doctor despite you being a mayor at that time. Stitching up and repairing wounds on his kitchen table. Is a kitchen table the best place to stitch up wounds of people? Isn't a kitchen table, I guess some individuals don't care where they eat their food. You notice that? You're stitching up wounds on your kitchen table. The same place that people eat red meat. I don't ever want to eat on this man. That's not to judge him at all, but the more you think about that, just think. He did all this while being a mayor, stitching up people on the kitchen table and all the rest with that. It's just Florida in itself. This is one of them situations you wouldn't want to laugh, and yet I can't help but laugh because that's an indecency as well. How many times has this man ate spaghetti and meatballs sitting at his kitchen table? Because some people stitch up and repair body parts of their buddies on their kitchen table, and yet they don't clean the kitchen table afterwards. They just go and eat, sit there and eat. So it's blood particles and bacteria, possibly dead cells sitting on the kitchen table. That's what's funny about it, because it's all Florida once again, and you know how individuals in Florida are. They make you laugh all the time, which could be why the story is here. So, Florida Department Law of Enforcement was reached by city manager of Port Richey because all this happened in Port Richey. Vincent Lupo and Police Chief Gerard Vicencio, Italian or Mexican, I'll let you decide on that, with reports of Mossad engaging in illegal behaviors as well as corruption involving drug use and the practice of medicine without a license inside of the home he occupied. You know, that would in fact lead to issues, and it did. It kind of, you don't want to ever do that type of thing. Let me leave it alone. 1992 was the year Mossad lost his medical license, and the reason is a 3-year-old patient died under his care. He once had a medical license. Did you get that? He once had a medical license, but because a 3-year-old died in his care is why he lost the medical license. And yet he continued to practice medically, in a sense, on his buddies on that kitchen table. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does to your ears. So Mossad, 68, and the facing charges because of medical practice without a license and attempted murder. That attempted murder charge stems from Mossad firing his gun at SWAT. How you have a SWAT team that shows up at your house because you don't act right, and so you in fact go off. Yes, that's in fact attempted murder in itself. So let me go back once again. That attempted murder charge that I just spoke on, it stems from Mossad firing his gun at SWAT deputies as they raided his home during the medical investigation. And that medical investigation once again involved that 3-year-old that died in his care, or under his care, I'm sorry. So Mossad kept various weapons within his home, which too was reason. I just said that. If somebody asks, well, why did the SWAT team come? I just said that, the attempted murder. Look at his face. The SWAT team was there because he kept lots of weapons within his home. To be firing at individuals, yes, law enforcement like that, is going to lead to a SWAT team with that, especially if there's an investigation involved, because they don't know which way, at which angle that man would have shot and killed any police officer, and that's why the SWAT team was available. I just said that 3 times. A conspiracy charge was added for reasons of Mossad was recorded on a jail phone on March 3rd, plotting along with acting Mayor Terry Rowe to intimidate an officer who was involved in the medical investigation. On March 14th, Rowe, that acting mayor involved in that plot with this ex-mayor, right? On March 14th, Rowe was arrested. He became the second mayor to be arrested in less than 20 days. There's a lot. See, you have to know the good for the right stories and not the wrong, because to have an acting mayor, Terry Rowe, as well as ex-mayor that loses his medical license and all the rest, is to say what all is going on up in higher power. I allow you viewers to leave a comment in the comment section below. There's things that goes on in offices that we don't even know about, and yet should, because even that can have an effect on laws being made and the rest. If a person is high and they're working, it's to say what effect does their behavior and you not knowing them being on drugs, what does that behavior have on the average citizen below them? Helping to make things legal or not legal, or the changing of laws. That's why you want to know what is going on with these sort of individuals. You just should. No right-minded citizen should want to walk past and say, well, that's not my business to know what is going on with this mayor, or what could he be using if there's any drugs. You should in fact want to know, because that could have an effect on you. as in a law being changed or whatever, even in relation to Congress, because all this is interconnected. That's just common sense, you guys. So, accounts of the ex-mayor's drug use. A male by the name of Corey White spoke with investigators on September 27th, as records prove such. So there's in fact a male figure that, yes, has proof verified, as is documented, of this ex-mayor, which to be found out is to say, right? So White claimed to have known Mossad for years, and he lived within an apartment in which was attached to the mayor's home. He lived there from December 2017 until April 2018. And records to provide it, yes, that is in fact true, right? What he said, you guys. You're not there, and yet you will be once this video is uploaded. I'm just saying. So, oftentimes what I said about people that are in positions of power and how they get drugs, even famous celebrities, when I said, well, question that, you in fact will want to know how they get their drugs. Oftentimes they get it from other people, right? And that's exactly what this ex-mayor did. He did that to prevent getting caught or to prevent getting in trouble. Because if there's other eyes that can see and know about that, is to say that sort of thing more than likely will be reported. If not to police, then to FBI and all the rest, right? That's just how it happens, which is how crooked people in power, they get away with things because they allow other people to do the footing for them. They allow drug runners to bring them drugs and purchase drugs, and then they pay them back with that, right? That's what exactly happened in this story with that. So White let it be known, this other individual that was in connection, that lived in an apartment, same apartment as this ex-mayor, White let it be known to agents that he had bought Mossad drugs over 60 times. See what I'm saying? He bought the ex-mayor drugs over 60 times. So the drugs in which were bought that occurred during the end of Mossad's first term being a mayor, the drug was meth, in which was bought by White. It was in fact bought by White for Mossad, as Mossad had to work on a construction project. That's very vital, key information. Who's buying what and why. I just said that third time. White paid $100 for the drugs for Mossad. So this individual went and paid $100 for this ex-mayor, who was in fact mayor at the time. Once again, we know. I'm just repeating that to verify to you, right? He paid $100 for the drugs for Mossad, in which Mossad paid him back. That sounds like celebrity scandal in a sense, because that's the way that it's done as well for individuals that don't know, that haven't worked in the industry, entertainment with that, right? Even entertainment lawyers that work in the industry know about that, what I just said with the law with that and how you get caught up. So records verified White said he seen Mossad smoke and eat meth. So he not only saw him smoke the meth, but eat it as well, right? There were even times Mossad was snorting lines off I was going to mention this, but that's why I waited for this part. Remember when I said about him stitching up his buddies, which could be considered street patients without the medical license involved? Him doing that on the kitchen counter, and I laughed and joked about the fact that you're doing that and you're eating on that kitchen table, right? So not only did he stitch them up on his kitchen counter with blood and everything else, but he also snorted lines of, yes, the drug meth off of the counter as well. Because see, look, oftentimes that what police, FBI and all the rest they need to do is go back to see Because look, to be in the kitchen is to say you're stitching up individuals, and yet are you sharing what residue is left where? Because some of these men, just because they stitch up something, don't mean that it's precisely just on the table. It might in fact be done on the counter as well. All this has food involved, right? Snorting lines, because that's the question. The reason why I'm saying this, tying two things together, linking the two things, kitchen table and kitchen counters, because it asks, well, did he also stitch them up on the kitchen counter as well? Or with him snorting lines on that kitchen counter, did he too at any time go over to that kitchen table and snort lines? It's a lot involved with the table as well as the counter. Because I'm thinking, let me think about how I would think about this. I'm thinking any grown man that is used to using that table as much as he did for various things, is to say he could have snorted off that kitchen table as well. A lot more than just on that counter. Think about that, what I just said. It's a lot of use of that kitchen table is what I'm trying to say. As in, it's a lazy way. You know how sometimes you do something and you do it often, and so when you're in a lazy mood, you just do that as well. And you're not going to go over to the kitchen counter. You're going to say, I'm going to do it right here at the kitchen table because this is where I'm used to doing a lot of things. I'm too lazy with my footing to walk over there to that counter. I just broke that down for you guys. It just made it more interesting, right? So he would in fact snort off the kitchen counter and then go play golf. That's all White's account once again. So White said he witnessed the mayor smoke crack cocaine nightly during the time he lived with him. That's like the fourth time I said that almost. White's the account as well, with the buying of the crack at night, because I could go deeper in depth with that sort of thing, as in the night involvement. What all do people in power do at night? Let me scratch and pause and possibly scratch my thumb or something with that question. White would buy crack for Mossad up to 5 nights a week. And yet this too, once again, is to ask what all was the mayor involved in if crack use was at night. What all could this mayor have been involved in? So when it comes to the crack usage, it is said that oftentimes hard street drugs make you paranoid, and which it did to the mayor. So paranoia was within this ex-mayor, which was in fact the mayor at the time. See how I flipped that? Just random science, weird, right in the head. Me flipping things, right? Paranoia was within Mossad, which made him fear his own cameras in his own house. Therefore, he'd use the drug in his room where cameras couldn't see him. It's a lot of, that's sketchy in itself, because to know that you snorted something, which is meth, you snorted it on your counter, but then you have paranoia and you go use in your room so you're not seen because you're paranoid. You use one drug in one place and another drug in another place. That's questionable as why. What that does is it make you question the detail on how drugs make individuals feel, think, and process information. One drug make you more paranoid than the next drug, right? That's just how it goes. Some people mix drugs. Various drugs are not created equal. That's why you shouldn't mix. Some drugs has the intent, well, not completely, because to mix something is to say that was in fact your intention, but the volume could be taken up to the max, which you mix in various drugs like that. That's going to have a impact on the mind, paranoia with that. And yet you want to question too, what other drugs could he have been using? despite the ones that have been told? Could weed have been in that? These is all for the questioning purposes. My story for you, the viewer. Leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think and feel, because I'm sure even you have a comment about what I said about how people in power, they're given so much power and yet they take advantage and abuse their power. That's not to say all the time. Some people, in fact, they're human beings like you and I, have home issues that they're not always able to deal with, and even the public is not able to detect, right? And yet, and still, that is still trying to understand, make sense of the thinking processes of individuals like him. What all could be wrong? Because even he might be given a psychologist or whoever to delve deeper into his reasoning and logic with that. Well, sir, why were you using knowing that you were the mayor? And maybe he won't be given someone. So yes, just let me know what you feel about that. We are in fact on investigationdiscovery.com. The ID logo stands in the far left corner. Yes, it does. Live now, true conviction. Unlocked episodes again, a preview, as well as audio visual preview. I just messed that up. And yeah, I'm not going to edit it. Just rewind the tape on the playback. To receive an audio visual preview is to click the play button. You can add to watch later by clicking the plus sign. Last 24, Season 2, Episode 1. Each one of these you would in fact want to check out. That might in fact spice up your senses as in make you want to see what is going on. Madeline, I did a video on her. That's so sad in itself. On last night, shouts out to Paula as well as Lieutenant Jokinda. To gain access to this is to sign in, provide who you are subscribed to with that information. That's how you're going to get into or up underneath that padlock unlock series. You can make the decision to scroll through this yourself. Recommended for you. Evil lives here. ID Go Original Series. Investigation Discovery always has the latest and greatest and best with that. Have a tip? Do you have a tip? You can in fact come to this once again to find out. Crime Feed News, Crime Feed, crimefeed.com. To gain access to the Crime Feed is to click right within here. You would in fact be directed to the outside, to the crimefeed.com. To receive a newsletter from Investigation Discovery is to type in your email address and click next. And you would in fact receive a newsletter. That is in fact how it happens. I wonder if any of our mayors, your mayor or my mayor or either of the two, even any presidents that we have not known about could have been crack users or crack abusers. Think about that. In life, it helps to ask various questions, yes, varied questions about that. What I said, who's doing what and why. So I think that's all to be said for now. You enjoy your day and I will in fact enjoy mine. And I am gone.